Tweet your friends.
Yep, there you go. We just came back just as you said. Tweet your friends, Bill. So yeah, tweet your friends. Share it out.
Tweet your friends. Like this stream and tweet your friends. And the party here never ends. We have streams for days and after parties for your after parties.
Don't make me make you sing again, Jim.
After
Don't
parties
make me. Don't do that.
After parties are the way forward. They really are.
You remember what that did to your channel, right? Like you almost.
Well, it
lost
didn't
every
do
sub
anything
that.
to the channel. It just was the worst rated video that I had on my channel. But it's because I got 3 downvotes. I usually don't get any downvotes. So it's
Because
not
you
that
didn't
it was
listen to me.
badly
No,
rated.
that's why. It's not because of downvotes. It's because you didn't listen to me. That's why.
I genuinely thought it was fantastic. I was working at it all day, all morning at work, sitting out on the bench, and one of the guys came over to me at about 9:30, and he was like, "Are you not coming in to sit in the heat?" I was like, no, I'm working on something here. I'm working on something. And then he came out about 11 o'clock or so, and he was like, "Are you still working on that?" And I was like, "Yeah, just let me be, man, let me be." And about 11:30, I was like, "Right, come here," and got him to listen to it and showed him the video, and he was like, "That's pretty fucking cool." And I was like, "Yeah, can't the man sing?" And he was like, "Well, he was a wee bit off at the start, but once he found himself, he was grand." And I was like, "Brilliant." Posted it, sent Jim a link. This is now live. Oh, Robbie, what did you do? Oh, what did you do?
Maybe you should have started the video at the grand part. Like maybe that should have been the beginning.
No, I wanted to get the whole bit at the start with the fucking about and all and the messing and to let people know. And I edited. When the song ended, there was like 60 seconds of nearly silence, and then you said the whole, "I didn't want to do that. You should have given us a chance." I actually cut that and stuck it in.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I was like, at least he like lets me acknowledge that it was shitty. So,
Yeah, you always put the disclaimer in there, man. You always have to put the disclaimer in.
right. Well, I would have put that at the beginning of the song personally because I don't think many people got to the grand part because they couldn't suffer through the first few 16 bars or so.
It was 3 minutes long, and the first minute wasn't great. So I can understand, like.
Oh, you had 1 minute that was not your strongest.
No, but at least 2/3 of it was good. That's pretty much the percentage that it came out at was like 30.
These 2 minutes would be great in a 2-minute song, but however, they were in a 3-minute song.
Well, it was a 35%, I think, approval rating. So, yeah, that would be about right. There must have been a minute that was
who did
shit.
you poll? I did not get a call for this.
I did tweet you and let you know after it was live, and the first response she sent back was,
Oh, I know.
"Don't put that up." And I'm like, yeah, I can take the link down off Twitter, but it's already on my channel.
Oh man.
Oh, well, I think we've got a few people popping in now. Nobody's in the live chat yet. We've got Bill, who... Oh, he changed his name. Yeah, so now we've got Bill and we've got Sammy.
Yep.
And we've also got Jim, as always. Well, not as always, but we definitely always have a good beard on screen. That's one thing we can say about this channel. We always have good facial hair on screen. Maybe a little too much facial hair, but there's always good facial hair on screen.
No such thing as too much facial hair.
Poor Sammy and his lack of ability to grow a beard.
I can't grow a beard for crap. I can grow a pretty decent mustache though.
You're very proud
Which
of your
I
mustache.
apologize for it not being waxed. I've been on bed rest, but I can't blame it on bed rest because really I should be taking better care of myself, but I'm being lazy and taking full advantage of doctor's orders.
Yes, as you should. Right, I'm going to post in the chat because literally we're losing viewers talking about your mustache, Jim. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
And we'll go do a Lucy raid to kill some time. Oh no, hold on, I have to set that up so that it doesn't. Right, let me see if I can do this. No, I'm not going to be able to show this on screen, am I? Maybe I can. Open this. New window. Minimize. Why does it always go to that fucking thing first? Yahoo! I swear to God, somebody's malwared my fucking phone or malwared my computer. Where's Bushy?
Sorry.
Oh, she must have went off. Is she not live anymore? She must have vanished.
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, she must have.
Hang on, she was down a bit. I swear I seen her then in a minute.
No, she's still live. She's still live.
What does this mean?
Doesn't matter. We'll forget about it for now.
Oh,
Guess who has just tweeted me?
Geo Sam.
No, the amateur conversationalist.
Oh, John.
Yeah, we're gonna have John on. If I can find the link and send it to John.
Yeah, get that horse on here.
Yeah, John is still the most viewed video that I had, Jim, just to bring on the best. But I think it's not down to him.
Why don't you just get a lemon for that salt you just rubbed in?
Well, in saying that, I don't think it's down to him. I think it's down to the fact that Jesus is Lord and God was both on the stream at the same time and they were arguing with each other because Jill was saying things and God was like, I didn't say that. That wasn't me. Don't listen to him.
It's a shame I can't get on the stream with them without them muting me.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he does.
Who, Jill?
Yep. Right, moving on.
Yeah,
moving
fuck
on
that,
from
man.
the cunty hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking. John should be in any minute now. I've sent him the link. People are starting to refer to me as MP for handiness. I don't know if I can accept that, although my icon that Sal's not about at the minute. His hands are sore. He's trying to, and he's been saving and working for. He's heading home soon to spend some time with the family over Christmas. But he's done like an MP logo. Did you see it, Bill? It's pretty cool.
I did not, I don't think.
I haven't got a PNG, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll send a link to you later
Discord?
after this. I'll send it to you afterwards. Like,
Alright.
hello Tony, hello Gio. Thank you very much for turning up. We're just talking shite and waiting on the horse to turn up. You see how Jim has to mute himself actually on the controller? Bill.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm a loud fapper.
John, are you finished work? Would you like to jump in?
I don't know how long that one's been there for, but
Here, Bill, just to say, do you see the icon? The MP logo? It's on screen right now in the top left-hand corner. Like. It's hidden. Hidden. See in the little silver disc?
Yeah. I've just found another beer that's
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
a beer that I haven't drunk, that's been open for God knows how long, and I'm just going to drink it.
Is it open or closed, though?
It's open, bro. It's been open for like a week, maybe more.
Well, you know, fair play to you
Is
for
it
finding
wet?
a beer, but why is it...
Oh, man, it's disgusting.
Yeah, that would be disgusting.
Oh, that's really nasty. But never mind. It's alcohol in it.
John,
Well, first of all, how did it survive a week?
yeah, what's not been thrown down the sink for? Welcome, John Petersen.
Hello.
Hiya, John. How's yourself?
John! I almost forgot the sound of your voice.
Yeah, you haven't been about, John, have you?
Oh no! It sounds like a ride down a gravel road on a sled that's not in the wintertime.
Oh,
I have
that
a
sounds horrible.
Oh no! It's
I just
great.
want
Feels
to.
so
I just want to point out though, when Jim says he's been on bed rest, that means he's been the last several weeks. He's been having whores over to his house and doing a lot of coke.
They are classy women.
Oh, all right.
They're expensive hookers.
So I know who the mustache.
They are
is.
classy women. They steal my best clothes.
So I knew who the mustache is. Who's the bushy beard he's supposed to be encountering tonight?
Excuse you, me? This is my bushy beard.
We're intertwined at the.
I don't know, man.
Moment,
If
sir.
you had Richard
beard win.
Madsen, if you had
Beard win.
that's a beard. That's a beard.
It's bushy, not massive, okay? It's just bushy.
I don't know, man. If we had a big tomcat and a little bit of milk, we could get rid of your beard in about 5 minutes.
No, you leave my beard out of this, man. I've been told the girlfriend will leave me if I cut my beard. Plus, I
Hey,
don't
guys,
think the
is it
daughter wouldn't
okay
recognize
if
me.
if I invite somebody?
Pardon?
Is it okay if I invite somebody real quick?
Yeah, invite somebody in, man. I've sent the link out to like 7
Okay.
people.
God, will you can you come in here for a second, please? God. Hey, hey, hang on one second, guys. Just one. God, can you come in here for just 1 second and just show everybody just for just 2 seconds? Just say I'm real, and you can pop right back out and get back to whatever you're doing. God.
And Sammy
Okay, I
comes
guess
on
he's not
screen.
showing up. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, he shouldn't even need the link.
I just
Yeah,
sent God the
I mean,
link.
I don't know. Maybe he's got bad ping.
Well, I did actually send I sent God the link there now.
Bad ping.
John
God has
Messenger
no
hasn't
ping.
seen you about either. How have you been, John? What have you been getting up to? You haven't been about. The community, the Great Debate community, is a gaming channel now, or you know, I haven't seen you
Yeah,
about.
no, I haven't done anything for the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I just
He found Jesus.
lacked some motivation.
Oh, well, if you need to take a break, man, everybody needs to take a break sometimes or whatever. Or, you know, I hope that your holiday was good and you got some nice fapping in.
Oh, sure, yeah. My right forearm is in great shape.
Yeah, good. No need to be lifting weights. Did you get the hookers and the coke, though? Like Jim?
No,
Ah.
no.
See, Jim can get them for
No.
free because he brings them out, and you know, women generally like animals, and he shows them a few goats and stuff, and offers them some of his magic milk that he has lying around the place, and he usually gets them for free. You know.
What the hell is magic milk? What?
You're the one talking about the fantastic milk you got earlier.
Magic milk? Oh no, that I think you're referring to Paul's milky neck, and that's just about all used up.
No, I was talking about you and the animals earlier, and you were.
Oh
He
no,
was
none of
talking
that.
about
None of that's
talking about the
magical.
bestiality goat juice.
No, none of that's magical. But Paul, on the
City
other hand,
Slickers 2. Have you seen
I don't know
City
if you guys
Slickers
know,
2,
but
John?
whenever Paul was martyred and beheaded by the Romans, milk came out of his neck instead of blood.
Hey, just don't say bestiality too many times, or Joe will pop up.
Yeah, well, I didn't want it. That's why I said it the other way. But
He'll pop up and then what?
no, we're not allowed to. No, moving on, John. Someone else talk. Bill, how was your day? Not allowed to talk about that man, John. No.
My day was pretty boring, to be honest. I didn't do a lot. You know, I don't do a lot anyway, do I?
We had a
I
fucking.
spend my time doing not a lot.
Well, you did. You were
great.
talking about getting a computer and starting your own channel, Bill.
Yeah, at some point I should. I really should. But
Well, it's good to see you out in
But-
streams now. This is what, stream 5, stream 6, where you've got your voice out, something like that.
4 maybe, 3 or 4,
We'll not quibble over
maybe
words.
more than that.
Yeah, I'm talking
That's
you
it.
up here, man. I'm talking you up. Go with it, you know. You should get to know the horse. The horse has got some good connections.
I see.
I've got some good horse connections.
Well, one
That was a dick joke.
using
No,
the-
that was a horse joke. You don't know what horse is?
Yeah, I have. A
Jim
few.
has tasted horse milk.
Ooh,
He did.
Yeah.
is that a euphemism?
And regrettably, horse meat.
I wouldn't
Nothing
mind.
wrong with horse meat.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Horse
mind
meat's
horse
pretty
meat.
tasty.
It is tasty, but I have a moral moral opposition to it. Personal, of course, I wouldn't impose
You
that
wouldn't
upon
eat your
anybody.
own
It's
horse.
just my own, just through my own experience with horses.
You wouldn't eat your own horse, but you'd eat somebody else's horse. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm saying that I wouldn't eat anybody's horse unless it was in a survival situation.
Now, I would have that. I could not go to another country and eat a dog.
Yeah, I couldn't
I don't
either.
know. I'd eat a dog in Korea. I'd be up for a bit of dog. I bet they make it taste good.
Well, I'm sure that I've had it, you know, but I not knowingly.
Well, Nerdy has popped into the chat, and all I thought was Demolition Man and Rat Burger there for a second. I don't know if I'd try a Rat Burger.
Well, look, if you've ever eaten at a Chinese buffet, chances are you've had dog. So
Well, over here it's pigeon. If you have a bad Chinese over here, they usually blame it on the pigeons.
Yeah. Yeah. Rats of the Sky.
I have pigeons are good to shoot. They're fun.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Dove.
the very first pigeon, Jim. I should actually send you a picture of this. The very first pigeon. I think you seen it, Bill. Whenever I shot the fucker and it hit the ground, his 2 feathers were up in the dab position, and I made a meme going "dab for Jesus." Do you remember that, Bill?
Yeah.
It was so funny. Dab for Jesus. There you go.
Oh.
So John, yes, where have you been, man? Just taking some time off? Are you coming back? Or are you just relaxing still, or have you anything planned?
This is my premiere back right now.
Oh, happy days, man. Well, thank you very
No,
much.
well, we're gonna be doing a stream on Nakasuchi's channel tomorrow night, and there's one Christian. He did a stream on Skylar's channel like a couple months ago with Aaron Raw. Aaron, and his name's Aaron White.
Yes.
He said he was coming on. Now he emailed me day before yesterday and said, "Oh yeah, I'll come on." And he says it was kind of an odd email. He said, "Yeah, definitely want to do that." And I just need to check my schedule and make sure I'm free that night. And then I haven't heard from him, so hopefully he's coming on. And Dragnot's going to be there, and Nakasuchi's got the night off, so there'll probably be a couple spots open.
Well, just as you're dropping fancy names on Aaron Ra and stuff like that, there, Atheist Edge was on there last week, and supposedly Aaron's coming around in December, and he has said that he will get him 30 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever, on camera going, "I'm Aaron Ra and you're watching MathPig," and that's my
Nice.
yeah, that would be my
Yeah,
one
that'd be
claim to
cool.
fame. That would be my one claim to fame. Like, I said it to my woman, and she was like, "Oh, that guy with the long hair and the bad style that you watch all the time." Aye, that guy, yeah.
She's right though. He has got long hair and bad style. That is very true.
I think his fucking style of clothes is fucking pretty rocking though. I used to dress like that, man. The whole fucking golf stage, they're pretty cool clothes.
Yeah,
like.
no.
But yeah, that was my woman's impression of him, and she's like, "He's not famous." I was like, "He's pretty famous in his own wee right, like." He did
As far
try.
as YouTube goes, he's YouTube famous.
He's definitely YouTube famous, yeah. And he tried for, what was it, senator or governor or some wee thing, and then he bowed out because there was another guy that was doing the same thing that had better notoriety, so he bowed out to him.
Yeah, I still keep waiting for to see Aaron in the Star Trek universe. I think the producers of the Star Trek stuff are missing out there, because Aaron would make a perfect Klingon.
Yeah, Klingon.
Not as good as Bill Bailey. Not as good as Bill Bailey. Bill Bailey would be the ultimate Klingon.
Bill
Seen
Bailey
Bill
is
Bailey?
fucking hilarious. If nobody has watched Black Books, go and watch Black Books. Have you ever
Bill
seen
Bailey's
Black Books,
stand-up
John?
is amazing.
John, have you ever seen Black Books?
No, I never even heard of it.
Black Books is Bill Bailey and what's the other guy, Bill?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
He's an Irish comedian, and not to stereotype the Irish, but he's an alcoholic and he owns a library and he is really rude to the customers. It's a comedy, it's hilarious. Black Books, it's
got
called.
that chick in it as well, isn't it?
Pardon?
That's really funny. It's got that chick in it as well.
Oh
That's
yeah,
really
the dumb
funny,
girl
that
from
female
next door.
comedian.
Yeah, and man, the things that they get up to, like, I still to this day use the joke about the dusty cups. They're just dusty cups. It's like we're
So that's the
Americans
thing
or
I've ever
Canadians with
seen.
no trailer park boys. You know, it's not that it's that style of humor, but it has that sort of following over here.
Best thing that I've seen Bill Bailey in, they did like a sci-fi quiz show. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head.
Oh, I think
But
I've seen that.
at one point they had Bill Shatner actually on the show, but it was written into his contract that he had to win. He wasn't allowed to lose. So like the final round, they had this round called Bill Shatner or not Bill Shatner, and all he had to do was they gave him a load of quotes, and it was like Bill Shatner or not Bill Shatner. Did you say it or did you not? And it was absolutely hilarious because half of them he was getting wrong. Oh man, I was crying laughing. So funny.
I always thought Galaxy Quest was a good rip on them.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest was a good movie. But we've been talking sci-fi all night. Let's talk some debate or some religion. Let's get a fight on. Does anyone know a Christian? Anyone want to email a Christian?
It's funny you say that because I was going to ask all you guys if you knew any Christians I could reach out to for tomorrow night. It seems so hard to get them on.
For Knox Channel, for debates, like?
Well, it wasn't necessarily going to be a debate. Like I told Aaron White that, we're just going to have a discussion. You can even pick a topic if you want. He says, I really don't have a specific topic in mind. And then the other guy emailed that Drag suggested. Haven't heard back from him. I told him the same thing in an email. You can pick a topic.
Yeah, well, you see, Jim's having the same problem as well, and I think Skylar's come across the same problem as well. And saying that, man, it can be the same things. Depending on who you bring on, you're just going to get the same content with a different voice. Would you not agree with me in that? Pardon, Bill?
Same as flat Earth, isn't it? You're always going to get the same shit rehashed over and over and over and over again. It gets boring.
Yeah, like there would be what, 5 or 6 topics
all the time.
Yeah, you get the same sort of topics that sort of float around. You got slavery, morality, and the same sort of topics that float around, and that's what happens. As I said to Jim as well earlier, this is the problem that I would have with debate, because with a debate you always must have a title, a goal, something, a topic to talk about, and if you will just run out of topics. Jim, are you still there?
He had messaged in the private chat that he'd be right back.
All right, I haven't.
And I can't get the live comments to show up in here.
No, I'm screen grabbing John.
I don't know what that means.
Do you know the way if you were on Digital Hammurabi's, you would connect via Zoom, but you only see a thing on screen? I'm connecting via StreamYards, and I'm screen grabbing from one screen to the other screen. So I'm using OBS to stream the other screen, which is just a hangout on StreamYards. It's not actually live via StreamYards. It's live via OBS. Okay. I did try to do a scheduling thing earlier, but it did not work out. And
all right, what's this now on Jim's avatar?
He's Christmasing it up. Just as we mentioned, does anyone out there, I'm sure Tony knows. Tony, the link for the PayPal for the War on Christmas. Have you got a link for that? I think they're only about £1,000 or £1,500 off their goal of £8,000 to help people for Christmas. It's a wee mini war going. Shannon Q, Vice Rhino, Digital Hammurabi. If you've got a spare £1 or £2, definitely throw it across. Every content creator is getting a different charity. I think GE's given to local folk. Digital Hammurabi's given to someone in Baltimore. I'm definitely wrong in all these, probably wrong in all of them, but they're giving money away to charities for Christmas for people who can't and don't have the money to enjoy Christmas. So get in on the war on Christmas. I'm sure the link's out there somewhere, and if Tony can do that, that would be fantastic.
People that don't have the money to enjoy Christmas, you mean like me?
So, is Tony in the live chat?
Tony is in the live chat. He is also playing poker, but I think he's bopping and bipping and popping in and out. Yeah, he just posted there now. So Tony is in the live chat.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry. I have to go. I think I'm going to be having some baby goats tonight. I got to go and get a heater set up out there.
Jim,
baby goats.
Film the baby goats. Film the baby goats.
How often do they?
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for the filming.
Film the birth. Patreon only.
how often do they have goats though? Wasn't it just a few months ago that one of them had some babies?
Yep. One of them had twins. A couple months ago.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, Jim, thank you very much for turning up and giving us your views on lots of different science fiction shows and basically talking shite with me. It's what we do here, and very appreciative. And yeah, I love you, man. You know I love you.
Yeah, man, love you too, brother. And thanks for so much for having me on. You guys go and subscribe to me, youtube.com/Jim Majors. It's not hard. Don't be lazy. Do it. You won't regret it. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. And thanks again for having me, MathPig.
Not a bother,
Hey,
man.
Jim.
You're always welcome. Always welcome.
You gonna be around tomorrow night, Jim?
Yeah.
All right, I'll DM you, man.
All right, brother. Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
Yep. Bye.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, John, just on the topic of that, John, do we shill for your stuff that you be doing there? Like, what is it that you be about everywhere? What is your channel? The Great Conversationalist. You know, give yourself a wee shout out there, like.
Yeah, my channel is the Amateur Conversationalist, and at some point this month, we're going to boot up a new podcast, the Apostate Alliance, where I'm going to be talking with ex-Muslims about their journey out of Islam and some of the hateful things that happen to them and some of the repercussions that can happen to them for leaving Islam. I do once a week stream on a Raging Atheist channel, and I do a once a week stream on the Great Debate channel, usually on Saturday nights for the GDC and Wednesday nights for Nakasuchi's channel. And GDC and the Raging Atheist streams I do are usually topic-based panel discussions.
They're always good fun, like. But as you say, man, it's getting the people on.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same problem when we were doing a lot of talking about Trump. Is, you know, I had myself and several other people would always reach out to Trump supporters, and you know, nobody ever comes on that they're in the comment sections and all over social media, you know, defending Trump, but they don't want to, you know, come on a stream and defend him.
Because it's one sentence at a time in text, and when you bring them on screen, you'll catch them out, and they know that. People be afraid. Kevin, links in the chat, Kevin.
Oh, is that Kev?
Yeah.
He told me he was on the other night, actually.
He
You had him
was
on the other night,
indeed.
didn't
He only jumped on just for a wee bit because we were closing up. But yeah, no, he definitely jumped on. Softcore Thor. John, the background music. Did you ever watch any of the videos back and hear the wee backing track that runs in the background of my videos?
I'm sure I've heard it, but I can't.
It's very quiet. It's right there in the background. Kevin in the chat is the man who made that. He made it. Yeah. Well, fair play to the man. He made it and sent it to me for review, so to speak, and say, you know, what do you think, Robbie? And I downloaded it, thought it was good, and then whenever I was doing my fucking channel, I just sort of stole it, and then he gave me permission. So yeah, lots of love for Kevin. You know, I totally could have not been as nice as that, but he spent like a good 6 months, Bill. Yeah, good 6 months in that track. It just kept getting bigger and bigger. I think in total it's like 8.5 minutes long.
Something like that.
Yeah. No, man gives a lot of love to what he puts into. Same as what everybody here is, you know, same as yourself, John. But yeah, as you were saying, you're having trouble getting people on. Do you think that you should change it up? John?
Well, yeah, no, I heard you.
Is there any way that you think that you could improve the communication that goes on between I was going to say Protestants and Catholics there. Let's fucking show them where I grew up. Improve the communication between theists and non-theists. Is there, you know, if you could do something to improve the communication, to improve the camaraderie back and forth, to improve, what would you do? If you had the power of God, what would you do? Well, maybe not go that. Well, maybe not the power of God, because you'll take that literal. I'm just making a joke. But what would you do, you know, to make, have you any ideas or anything that, have a barbecue weekend and invite everybody round? If money wasn't a problem, would fly them all out to somewhere nice and have a barbecue weekend? Would you be up for that? You know, like, what would you do to improve relationships between theists and non-theists?
Boy, that's a tough one. I mean,
I think it's really easy.
On both sides, you know, and I hate to use this word when referring to atheists because I don't believe it holds true for the most part, but I just think that both sides have to be a little more open-minded and less dogmatic. And I hate using the word dogmatic, with regards to atheism. But the fact is, there are atheists that do come off as dogmatic. Some people you're never going to bring them into the fold, on either side.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Christians that and other religious people that won't even be open-minded enough to consider that they could be wrong. But there are theists that are open-minded and will at least engage and hear what you have to say and consider it. But as far as getting along better, I mean, there's theists out there that are in the community that do get along in the community. I mean, you got fellows like Richard Madsen, and
who has said that if you need any content or need a Christian to talk to, he's willing to help out.
Yeah, and even this one guy. I mean, he's a part of the community. It's.
I like how Todd's
there's a lot of polytheists that are part of the community that engage and are strong members of the community. As far as what you could do to improve it, I mean, it's almost up to the individual, really.
Remove all the drama. That would be good for a start.
Yep, no drama.
That would be really helpful.
That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, I don't come here for drama. I come here to escape the drama in my regular life. I don't need drama on the internet as well. God.
Well, there's John in the chat. The messenger reveals, I would like to hear of some atheists who think they just might be wrong and actually believe that is true. And that's pretty much what you said as well, John, but from the opposite side. So
the thing of it is that the majority of atheists, now there are those that will claim that they can rule out any possibility of any God, but most of the atheists I know will say the fact that they don't believe in God is just that, a belief position. They're not claiming that they know for a fact that God cannot exist. Okay. But that is their belief based on the available evidence and their reasoning.
I like how Jay Pasek puts it. You cannot, you can't change your mind on a belief. You must be convinced of a belief. And when you get to a certain point, as you said, John, it's down to their own belief. They haven't seen the evidence yet. They haven't went this way or that, and they generally don't know. Well, that's how I feel.
It's almost in the same way that you can't pick your wants, you can't truly pick your beliefs. Okay, your mind, takes in information, and you come to a position, you come to a belief position, but you can't say like when people try and make the Pascal's wager argument, which is basically an argument that says you should hedge your bets. There's more to lose if you're an atheist and you're wrong than if you're a theist and you end up being wrong. But the fact is, how could anyone change their mind based on that? Oh, you know what? Gosh darn it, if I'm wrong, I might burn in hell for an eternity. You know what? I'm going to flip a switch in my brain, and now all of a sudden I believe in God because of that. It doesn't work that way. Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. I've had conversations. I was going to say I've had a 3-way conversation. And I think it was with Gio. Now I'm just going to use Gio as an example, and Gio he knows the crack, and I'm not being rude or anything here, but I've been having the conversation with him, and he's trying to put the point across to the other person. And when you flat out say you're wrong, here's why you're wrong, the person just pushes back and says, fuck you, don't tell me what to do. What I've tried to explain to Gio is what you need to do when you're having a conversation with someone is get them to the point where they are convinced themselves. You want them, like for talk's sake, if 2 + 2 = 4 and they say it equals 5, you don't want to say it equals 4, you're wrong, you dickhead. You want to explain the maths to them. and let them come to that conclusion themselves. And that's what you can't just scream at people. You need to be open-minded. You need to be available to open ideas, to other people's ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
If I had,
Go on ahead, Sammy.
sorry, you go.
No, go on ahead, Sammy. You've been very quiet for a while. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. I guess the one thing I'd change if I had some sort of godlike powers is set definitions in stone. My pet hate is watching a debate and 90% of the debate is two people having two completely different arguments because they're both arguing from different definitions.
But just to jump in, again, that boils down to the internet, man, and the debate format, and they have to spending the 20 minutes at the start or a page of A4 pages in the fucking description. 90% of the time when people are having a conversation, or as we would say here, having the crack, you understand what I'm saying in the context of what I'm saying. I don't need to break it down unless you're being an anal asshole. And that again comes from the debate format, which is why I prefer the heated discussion format rather than a debate format. This is all nicey. I'm just trying to get to know everybody. Give it 6 months, we're all going to be screaming down each other's throat. But at least at the end of it, they'll come back the next week to do it again. Because they know in the context that there's no hatred, there's no malice, and it's generally digging to find out the answers to these questions.
Yeah. But even, like, especially with the Christians especially, just flat out refusing to accept consensus. So the whole world has said, okay, we're going to refer to things in this term, but just Christians or Bible-believing Christians are going to say, no, we're going to use the word kinds because it's in the Bible. Even though nobody else uses kind, we can't even really define kind, but we're going to use it in a debate. That kills me.
You see, that could possibly boil down to the fact that the people in the church think that the church have been around for so long, and rather than when the consensus is wrong, they're right. And in saying that, there's a lot of Christians. And whether they agree with the kind word or using that, or they are young earth creationists or whatever the view, you by saying, you just said Christian, you didn't specifically say young earth creationist or Kent Hovind or Ken Ham, or, you know, you said Christian with a wide brush, as they would do, and say, I have a fuckload of Christians standing behind me. And they could have a couple of million, a couple of billion, is it? What? How many Christians in the world? Billions.
2.2.
Yeah.
They don't agree with him, but he has that backing. You know, the less fundamentalist Christians give power to the more fundamentalist Christians.
Well, and see, here's the thing: is like, and along the lines of what you're just saying, I would make the argument that, you know, you're talking about the term kinds, but when you come to evolution, I would say that the vast majority of people who identify as Christian would actually accept evolution as true. And that their belief is from a standpoint of evolution and creationism being combined, in that evolution was the manner in which God, you know, got everything going.
I would agree with you on that, man, but you know, I haven't went out on the street and actually asked and done a fucking study and checked the data and all that sort of crack, but I work with the public, and I'm not going to say that I hook about in people's cars, but if I have to look for a locking nut to take wheels off or something, I'm in their glove box, I'm in the boot, and I am seeing from people's own personal possessions more and more fundamentalist, more, like I found Ray Comfort Evolution v God, a DVD in someone's boot the other day. And that's not the first time. There was a guy from work that I think I mentioned to you before, John, when we were having our discussion, that used to come into work, and he's in evolution denial. It is on the rise. It's slowly, and I see it. I don't see the man on the street going to fundamentalism, but I see the person raised in a Christian background pushing back against, and you know, there's very little middle ground now. If you're raised in a Christian environment and these things go the right way, you end up being very fundamentalist, so to speak.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There definitely seems to be a bit of a polarizing happening.
As Christianity is on the downcrease, fundamentalism is on the increase.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's bizarre.
just going back to what Messenger had posted, and you read it, and I just had a chance to you read it out loud. I just had a chance to read it now. Now, just want to clarify my response to that, because what I'm saying is that most of the atheists I know are open to the idea that if it were proven that a God existed, then they would accept that. And you know, like I've always said, I said if I was shown, you know, actual proof that a God existed, then I wouldn't be an atheist anymore. Now, if I was shown the proof that the God that existed was the God of the Bible, I wouldn't be an atheist anymore, but I certainly wouldn't worship that worthless MFer. The thing is that when you talk about being open-minded to the possibility that a God could exist is different than being open-minded to the existing arguments that theists use to try and claim a God exists. Okay, like a lot of the hokum that's in the Bible, that you know, it's not as if an atheist is going to re-examine the evidence that has been put forth thus far by theists and then decide that that is true. Okay, because most of that, as we were talking about earlier, has been hashed and rehashed and been around for years and years, and it's already been rejected and in many cases refuted by people that are non-believers. So for an atheist to actually go from open-mindedness to being a believer, something new would have to come into the picture. There would have to be some new evidence. There would have to be some new argument, which there hasn't been for at least decades, if not a century or more. I mean,
I totally get where you're coming from, John, and I agree with 100% of everything that you're saying. Definitely. But I'm going to try, John, if you're, or the other John, Messenger, if you can hear this, you know, thumbs up in the chat and give us a thumbs up, because I'm not going to try and steel man you and use these terms, but I think the point he was trying to come across when he was saying that, just because this is the way I do it, man, break it down and just be blunt. I think that his opinion is that even though that atheists say that, I think when it actually comes down to it, he doesn't believe it, because there's too many terms and there's too many shouting from one side. You know, if he makes one point and the say Nakasuchi or yourself comes back with the other point, it can come across as maybe not aggressive, maybe not forward, but he doesn't believe that you are genuine about saying that, and it sounds like you're reading a script. Now, I know you're not, but there's certain words and certain phrases that in discussions are used over and over again to prove a point, and it comes across to me as dogmatic. You know,
I was speaking extemporaneously, you know, in the moment. I don't know if I said.
No, but I'm just trying. No, I don't even know what that word means, man. I'm not even sure what that word means. That's the truth. I don't mean to come across as an asshole. Sure. I'm just speaking my mind here. I'm just speaking my mind, and I'm trying to be a go-between.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm not calling you out for what you said. I was just, you know, responding to the idea that, I'm not speaking from any kind of script or anything. My name's not standing for truth, for Christ's sake.
When I use the word script, you see, this is what I mean, man, right? I'm not saying that you're speaking from a script. I didn't literally mean it that you are a friend or a cousin of Darth Dawkins. I was saying script, just saying it as in, you know, I hear the same words over and over again. That's all I meant. Yeah.
See, and I don't want to make this about, I mean, and John, I wish you would just come in here.
He's working for another wee while, man.
He's working, you said?
He actually had to take a day off to do my stream. He's in mountain time, and he's still at work, and he actually had to take a half day off work to do the stream at this time, the Tuesday that we did it.
Okay. I think he might even be on the West Coast, huh? But he posted in here at me, if you have knowledge, then belief is irrelevant. Well, no, that's not true, because knowledge is a subset of belief. Anything that you claim as knowledge, you also believe it. And in most instances, it's a belief first and becomes knowledge later.
I would agree with that statement.
So, belief is not irrelevant, because anything that you know to be true that you can claim as knowledge is also belief.
Well, John has just said that in my stupid Irish language and me rambling on, that I clarified his point. I don't know how using my bollocks language clarified it, but that's the point I'm trying to make. You just speak, say it, get done.
Well, when he said that, though, does he mean most atheists?
To be a short version, right? I'm just going to pretend that
I believe he says I believe that most atheists think they are sure because they have enough science to support. Sure about what, though? Is he talking about evolution or the idea?
It's just general. Again, man,
yes.
just being general. I could say that in terms, I have seen atheists stand up for evolution and say, yes, science is true. I can say, I totally agree with evolution,
Well, right, but what I'm asking him what he means, though, when he says or sure about what, because the thing of it is there's no, while there might be scientific evidence out there that certain claims theists make are not true, there's no scientific refutation of the idea that there might be a God somewhere in the universe. I mean, it's not something that science can disprove, really. I mean, it's an unfalsifiable claim, really.
Right, taking all the old falsifiable claims and taking all the big words and all that out of it and just breaking it down really, really simple, I think the point that he's trying to come across is something very, very similar to yourself. You want to meet more Christians that don't just have the point, I'm right and you're wrong because I have faith and I have this evidence. And what Messenger Reveals is trying to say is he wants to meet more atheists that are open-minded because they don't say, I have this science and I have this evidence. And it's very similar if you say it like that. That's the point I think he's trying to make.
I guess when John doesn't agree with something someone says, he accuses them of parroting. I'm just parroting philosophy now about belief knowledge. And I guess he's explaining it better from a psychological point.
No,
well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Well, no, that's what he just posted.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what he's posted, right? But what he's posted, I think, from his point of view, is to get a wee dig in by using the word parroting. Because I used the phrase, I hear the same phrases over and over again, which is a nice way of putting it. And saying parroting is a little dig, and that's probably because of the history that the two of you have behind each other. I'm just looking into the context, man.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to do on this channel. See the context, see where people are coming from.
I'm not taking parroting as a dig. I'm just chuckling at it because what I said isn't just a philosophical position. I mean, it is the case that knowledge is a subset of belief. I mean,
I agree with that.
Something that gets talked about in philosophy. You can't know something without also believing it, and that's a psychological position as well. So, I mean, that's why I'm chuckling at what he said. I mean, if you have a belief, that is a psychological position. If you claim that belief as knowledge and have the evidence to back it up, that's also a psychological position, which has substantiation external to yourself.
And I would agree with that 100%. I'm just saying that when you get down to it sometimes, man, and you have these same arguments, as we were talking earlier about you can't find Christians to debate and things like that, and Bill said it's got to the same point with Flat Earth. In Flat Earth, they keep talking about different experiments and this, that, and the other to prove that they're right. And when it comes to this, there's certain phrases and certain things that we hear over and over and over again, and it becomes the same thing.
Yeah, I gave up on
as I say, man, as I say, he says that he wants to meet more atheists that don't say science is true and, you know, this is my belief, can't prove me wrong. And from the exact same point, they say the Bible is true, this is my evidence, and you can't prove me wrong. And we both want to just find more open-minded people. And I'll have an interview with someone, I'll have a talk with someone, they're welcome to come on. If they come on and prove that they're not going to, like, I was thinking of having one of the Aarons on. I can't remember which one it is. I don't think it's.
There's a bunch of them around. There's a lot of Aarons in the community.
Yeah, and I was thinking of sending him an email, and I typed out the email, and I went to hit send, and then I just fucking deleted it and just says no. There's no point, because bringing someone like that on, I know how the conversation will go. Praise, I think, is the best Christian that's been on. Him and Tog have been the two that's best that's come on, because we've talked about the topics without getting deep and evil and annoying with each other. But I know if that man come on, he would just try and steer the conversation to preaching, and I don't want to fucking have preaching.
Well, that's who I want to like. So I'm not sure who, because I know there's Aaron Benton.
Benton, that's the one.
Is that what
Benton?
I had Benton. I had it typed out.
And then there's Aaron Ford, and then there's the fellow that hopefully is going to be on tomorrow, raging at Aaron White, and I think there's even more.
Yeah, well, I know of Aaron White and Aaron Benton. I had the email typed for Aaron Benton, and then I just deleted it because that
Aaron
guy would.
Ford, I don't know if you see Aaron Ford. He was on Nakasuchi's channel a while back, and he kind of got triggered as hell because he wouldn't talk to. He was calling people in the hangout sodomites because there was, I can't remember who it was. Someone that was there was gay. And he got pissed off and said, "I'm not about to talk to a sodomite," and he referred to his own mother, who came out as gay at one point. That his own mother he calls a dirty sodomite.
Well, just to say, you've now said it 4 times on this video. In the conversation when you were having it with him, it probably only would have come up 5 or 6 times. Because you would have steered it a different way and controlled the conversation. Now, in context, I know you weren't trying to be rude, but as it goes, man, you've probably said it at least 75% as much as what he would have said it.
Said what?
But, like, straight people have anal sex too, right?
Exactly, but this is the point I'm trying to make.
Really,
the point I'm trying to make is, right? Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is, John said it. John said it, but because in the context that you're using it, you think it's okay, but in the context that the other person was using it, it's definitely wrong. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you in any way, but the point I'm trying to make...
What I'm trying to ask you, what are you talking? What word?
I will not say that word. I'm not going to fill... I know it. Well, you see, I'm not going to put in that other 25% and prove my own point. That's what I'm trying to say is sodomite. Now, we've probably said it more than him. But in the context we're using it, it's okay. And in the context he's using it, it's obviously not. But you're disallowing him, but it's okay here. But it's just a word. It's just a word. And in the context that we're using it, it's okay.
And it wasn't his usage of the word. What I'm saying is the way he looks at that word himself. Not that he used the word, the fact that he used it as a pejorative, as if I'm not going to talk to this person because they engage in certain activities that include sodomy.
Okay.
That's it wasn't necessarily the word itself, and the idea that, and I'm not saying that there can't be bad parents out there that some kids don't like, but the idea that he would refer to his mother as a dirty sodomite,
well, that's disrespectful to his mother. Yeah. That's the first thing I see, right? But the problem, what I'm trying to say is, as this goes with not just that word, but with other words, they're just words, and it basically boils down to the use of it, right? But when it comes to it, certain people will ban certain words, but I have seen them people use them words to describe things, to talk about things, but when they say it, it's okay. When other people say it, it's not. And that boils down to the derogatoriness of it, and being rude and using it like that. But it is a banned word in certain areas, and if a certain person says it once, they're out the fuck, they're gone, they're banned, they're timed out. But if the person who says that it's a banned word uses it in a different context, it's okay, it's grand. Certain words get banned in certain places, and I think it's a fucking waste of time. And that's the basis of what I was just going to say. John, the other John, Messenger, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I'm in my car driving, so bear with me.
Well, that at least you tried to get in as soon as you could, man. You didn't even wait to get home. I appreciate that.
No, this is too good of a conversation not to be a part of.
It's general rambling.
It's hard to clarify your point when you're typing in text and then people are talking live, and
Well,
sometimes when you type it in text, the thought's already gone for the other people are having conversations, so it just makes it difficult.
I tried to steelman you in commas, or not commas, quotation marks, as best I could.
I don't think it's steel man in my position. I think you clarified kind of where I was coming from in the best way that you understood it. So I wasn't disappointed with that.
Well, that would be steel manning.
I thought steel man. I thought the whole point of a steel man was to find a truth in somebody's argument that is incorrect, so that it crumbles the rest.
That's a straw.
That's straw manning. Steel manning is to reinforce their argument to the best possible position.
Steelman would be the opposite, where you try and represent your point in the way that you're trying to make it. So if I'm like, have I got you correctly? And then I would steelman you, and then you would come back and go, yes, that's the point I'm trying to make. And then I would go, well, it's wrong in this way. And
Right. I know, I agree with that, but I'd like to still hear how it was wrong, if that's what you were doing, because you clarified my point, but tell me how it's wrong.
I wasn't trying to. I was trying to steelman you. What you were thinking steelman is a straw man.
No. Straw man is where you misrepresent somebody's opinion in a way that they didn't state it.
Yeah, well, that would be
it's taking
correct
away
as
from
well.
the point.
We're not going to do this fucking philosophy
Anyway,
101. This is the whole point. Thanks for coming on.
I wanted to clarify my point with John about belief and knowledge. When people say belief is or knowledge is a subset of belief, it was coined by a philosopher. It's a philosophical. Because, I'm saying it's defined by them. They're defining it. They're not saying, hey, let me clarify it.
Well, hold on. All phrases were coined at one point. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
I'm not done.
Hold on, please.
Let me ask
John,
you this.
please, John.
You're interrupting me.
John.
No, it's okay
John,
to take a piece
Petersen.
of time, though, too.
Please, he did come in. He did come in, and he's only went for like 2 minutes.
I understand that, but there's no sense in like taking 10 points at a time. Let's just take one point at a time.
Finish with what I was thinking about belief and knowledge.
Right, but that's
just give him 5 minutes, man. 5 minutes.
The thing you just posted in the chat before you came in, and I want to address that point before you go on to another point, because I'm stupid and I can't keep more than one point in my head at a time.
I'll let you get it out. I'll listen.
The only point I wanted to make was just these two quick ones. All phrases were coined at one point, and two, is oxygen a subset of the atmosphere? Now, is that just a coined phrase, or is that actual reality? Is that truth? Just because something is a coined phrase at one point doesn't negate the truthfulness of it. Go ahead.
It's not that it negates the truthfulness of it. It makes the comparison too ambiguous to where there can't be clarification when people are properly trying to define knowledge and belief. Based on those things, the definitions that I've given them through my psychological studies and research, which is extensive at 14 plus years, tells me that when we sit there and use the word knowledge, it is a provable truth. It's something that you can provide evidence for. When we use the term belief, it is a assumed truth.
No.
When you know something's true, you don't say, I believe this. You say, I know this.
Right.
There's no point in saying, I believe, even though it still could be correct. Like, hey, I hold this to be true.
Right.
And then when I know, again, you're interrupting. So let me finish my...
Because no, I'm going to interrupt. I was thinking of interrupting as well. I just want to interrupt as well. I agree with John Petersen.
But when you say I believe something, you're not necessarily always claiming that that it's true.
Yes, you are.
No, you're not.
No. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in. Messenger, I'm going to jump in and get my wee bit now. To back John Petersen up here, I can believe that my dog is at the kitchen door. Like I did earlier tonight when I says I'm going to let the dog back in. I believed that he was at the kitchen door. But I was wrong. I was wrong. He was actually at the back door scraping. I'd closed the back door and locked him out. So I didn't know that. I believed it before I knew it.
Math, I agree with what you're saying. Your belief can be wrong.
Yes.
My point is this. You, at the time that you say it, hold it to be true, whether it is or is not.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So So I'm saying it's not truth. When I say assumed truth, it's something that you're holding to be true within your inner being at that moment, and it's an assumed truth because you don't have evidence.
I do apologize that we've now both raised our voices. Let's bring it back down again because we got a little heated there. We both did
Well, I
get
just didn't want to
shouting.
get interrupted again while I was trying to clarify.
No, I'm sorry, because I like to interrupt and put my point across, because fuck you all, it's my channel. I can say what I want and do what I want. But I did just want to... I just wanted to put my point across.
And there's really no reason for any of us to soliloquy. I mean, we can go back and forth. It's a conversation.
Exactly. And Messenger knows that if I disagreed with John whenever he's talking, I'll fucking interrupt John and I'll stand up for you. You know, I'll stand up for whoever point I think is trying to make, because if you two are just screaming at each other, it's not that somebody needs to take a side, but somebody needs to jump in and say something. If John's right, in my opinion, I'll jump in and back him up. If Messenger's right, or no, fuck, I'm being ignorant, because I didn't mean to be ignorant like that, man. If Messenger's right, in my opinion, from his point of view, I'll jump in and I'll defend him as well. I'll defend anyone from my point of view who I think is right. So,
I mean, I have to say too that after hearing you and him go back and forth, I do have to kind of back off my position and more agree with Messenger, because it's like an aspect of reality that you hold. A belief is an aspect of reality that you hold to be true. So, but as far as you holding a belief to be true isn't the same as saying I can prove that it's true. I mean, just like I believe there are no gods, but there is no way that I could prove that there are no gods, and I realize that part of it too.
Well, on the topic of Joe just saying
that's why you're not saying I know that God doesn't exist, and I wish more Christians and more atheists would say I believe rather than I know.
Well, right, and even and I would say that it's a bigger percentage of theists that claim knowledge than a percentage of atheists that claim knowledge of no gods.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, because it's because of the faith aspect, because they can.
No, it's because they believe the fucking Bible is the true, inspired, infallible word of God. So that's their quote evidence, even though even me being a theist, know that it's not evidence.
The problem that I find from the atheist side is, as you said, Messenger, in so many words earlier in the chat, is where science is now is not the end all be all. And because in this last 10 or 15 years we have done so much in the scientific realm, the quantum realm, and all that sort of stuff, doesn't mean that what we know now is the end of what we know. And things that may be referred to as supernatural may be possible, and science just hasn't explained it yet. And it doesn't mean that where we are now is the end. And a lot of atheists and people who have a lot of faith in the scientific background, which I do, and my name is based around, but it doesn't mean that where we are now is the limit of our knowledge. The fucking Romans thought they knew everything. Well,
here's the thing, MathPig. You just basically described science, because all science is provisional.
Yes, exactly, man. All science is provisional.
Yeah.
But atheists don't see that. I think that's what Messenger's trying to put across is we're
I'm not
theists.
saying all atheists.
Yeah. Where some theists would put a cap.
Here's the other thing too about, you mentioned supernatural, MathPig. Okay. The thing is things that would be considered to be supernatural now, in the vernacular of these discussions, were they proven to exist through science, they would then become natural.
Exactly, and we just haven't got there. Yes, and I'm all up for that, man. But what the point I'm trying to say is, everything you're saying is correct. But when you say it in certain ways, it does come across. I don't know. It's just hard to put into words. I've experienced things that could be described as supernatural, and I've sat down and I've thought about them from a natural point of view. And if certain things could be explained, then it would give a natural reason for what had happened. So I would be maybe 60% supernatural, 40% we just ain't got there yet. Give it another 10, 20 years, we'll figure out, and I'll be proven this way or that way. But I'm open to that. And the fact that some people come across from the atheistic point of view that's it, science, no supernatural, it ain't happening. See that shit that you're talking about? It ain't happened. It didn't happen. Supernatural's out the window. I could say, yes, It may have happened, and there may be a naturalistic reason for it. I ain't going to close the door on it.
Well, let me clarify. Here's my position. I don't know who else it is. Okay, what my position is that things that get labeled supernatural, if they are actually occurring phenomenon, it's not that they're supernatural, it's that they have yet to be explained empirically through science.
Yes.
I mean, that's all. I mean, if you look back centuries ago, how many different things could any of us list right now that were considered to be supernatural that science eventually explained?
Exactly.
And are now not considered to be supernatural.
And just because we are on the level that we are now, on what we know, doesn't mean that we know everything. And I feel that sometimes when atheists have this conversation with theists, they come across as, I know science and I read the fucking Stephen Hawking's book. I now know everything. And it comes across to a theist the exact same way that a theist comes across to an atheist going, I know God and I know everything. It's like two polar opposites, man. And I can see where John's coming from, referencing John.
You reminded me of a conversation I had. I think it was on a Steve McRae hangout where there was a few different people there. And we were talking about space and the universe and stuff. And Steve and some other scientifically minded person, much more scientifically minded than I am, were talking about the idea that there are certain areas of the universe that we will never see, because of the expansion and because the acceleration of the expansion.
Yeah.
And now, and again, I'm not as scientifically literate as these people that were having this discussion, but I jumped on that in my mind and had to bring it up. Well, how can you say never? Okay, because same thing like you're saying, MathPig, we can't say that science is at its pinnacle, and that we have all the knowledge that there is out there to be gained. And I said to them something to the effect, well, how can you know what technologies might, be invented in the future? I mean, we might, like some of these sci-fi kind of things, like we might invent technology that allows us to bend space.
I had a conversation with a guy one time.
Yeah, we could come up with a technology like that, the new Discovery show, like what is it? They got like some mycelium highway or something that they can pop from one part of the universe to the other. Who knows what could come up a century from now or more.
I think I read somewhere one time a guy actually came up with the mathematical formula for something very similar to a warp drive, but the energy requirements is like black hole energy requirements. It's madness. Anything is possible. I believe that absolutely anything is possible. I also believe that absolutely anything is possible if you figure it out. Just because somebody might be able to do it naturally doesn't mean that there's also not a scientific reason for it that can be replicated and not put in a remote. But you get what I'm trying to say. Somebody that can be trained.
I mean, there could be like some transporter thing they come up with or something that, like you step into a machine here on Earth and, a second later you're in some other, part of the galaxy. Well,
that's quantum entanglement, and they've done quantum entanglement transporter, but the quantum entanglement transporter, if I get this right, it actually copies you and destroys the old you.
Yeah. Like how long ago was it what was it, like maybe 150 years ago, or maybe a little less than that, Jules Verne wrote a book about, shooting a rocket to the moon and people going to the moon, and then that eventually happened, so who knows.
Generally, sci-fi ends up becoming true because people see things in sci-fi, and like governments would drive technology, your wants and your desires drive technology. And if you grew up watching Star Trek, Star Trek, the first series, with a little thing in your hand that they could communicate with people, what was that, 1960? And now, 60 years later, 70 years later, we've got fucking all the information in the world in our hands. Like there was a guy in my Discord today that's trying to get somebody he wants to change the IME number on his phone, and he has a guy that'll do it, and there's something like a 4-month waiting list for this guy to do it. And I was like, well, what software does he use? And he goes, he uses this. I found a link and a video and an instruction guide within 15 minutes and sent it to him. All the information you need is out there right now. The education system is a mess. The way that we teach kids is a fucking disaster. We destroy creativity. Sorry, I'm going off on a rant, but there's too many people in the world that don't contribute.
Tony said in the chat a few minutes ago, he said someone played a sound of a truck horn over their mic and scared the jeebus out of Messenger since he was driving, I guess.
Did I see Padme the cat? I did see Padme the cat.
Yeah.
Padme the cat did my black and white icon that I use on YouTube. The MathPig one smoking a joint. That was Padme. So thank you, Padme, for that.
So I wonder if Messenger popped out because he got home and he's on his way in to get on the computer.
He's actually just popped back in again.
Oh, there he is. All right. Yeah, I wondered why we lost him.
He's driving, so lack of signal every now and again.
Thought maybe he
the
got
damn phone.
Thought maybe he got fucking tired of hearing you go back and forth.
Man, I just ramble on. It's content.
You guys are saying something relevant.
Sorry, John?
No. I was just making a smart ass remark. I was just waiting for you guys to say something relevant.
We
I
were
actually
trying.
got kicked out because I hit the back button on my phone.
I saw, yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
we can
You know, we can hear you. We were actually giving you time. We were being fair and letting the Christian talk. Go on ahead there, man.
Well, no, I myself
was
was silent because I was waiting for Messenger to say something relevant.
He was about to make
John,
fun of you.
I mean, John. I think people use different definitions when it comes to supernatural, and I think that John's saying, in the way that I use supernatural, I don't like how other people are using supernatural, because then it creates a lot of ambiguity in terms of how the term is used, and that's a fair point, because if you're going to use the term back and forth in conversation, you should at least understand how the person's using it in the context that they are.
I would agree with
And
that.
I think that some people, and I think some people do say that, hey, what we can't prove empirically, and it's a phenomenon we can say is supernatural. Like is quantum mechanics supernatural? Is a black hole supernatural? Because we don't understand the science or the evidence of it yet.
Just to clarify, what I meant though is that, don't get me wrong, supernatural means outside of this universe is what supernatural would mean, because if it was in this universe, then it would be natural. But people use the word supernatural to describe unexplained phenomena.
Exactly.
Just because quantum mechanics is not understood, or a black hole is not completely understood, doesn't make it supernatural. And I think that's a misnomer by people. Now, they're free to refer to it as supernatural, but myself personally, I think that's a misnomer to call it supernatural. It's just an unknown. Not all unknowns can be labeled supernatural.
Then it's also like fair to say that the word supernatural doesn't appear anywhere in the Bible, and nowhere is God referred to as a supernatural being. So he would be a natural being from every theist standpoint if they didn't use the term supernatural in an ambiguous way. There's just things that they don't understand about God, so therefore they use the term supernatural.
Man, I am guilty of this. I have conflated the word woo and supernatural, because depending on what is actually happening, if it's fucking way out there and crazy, you know the statements. I don't need to pull one out of my arse, but you get what I'm talking about. And I would say, that person would say supernatural, I would instantly say woo. There is a conflation of two different words. They're referring it to in one way, I'm referring it to another way. I could talk about my personal testimony, and I personally have experienced things that I would say supernatural, as John would use it, unknown yet. It hasn't been figured out yet. It could be explained. But someone else could look at it and go, that's just total woo. It's all about the context and how you're using the word in the sentence. So when you go into as John is breaking down and going, supernatural is this. It depends who you're talking to. Supernatural is this to you. And that's the definition that you want to use.
Well, and here's the thing, though, too, is like with what Messenger just said, okay, when he's talking about supernatural as it is used to describe God, I would say most theists do that to themselves because they want, unlike you, Messenger, if I'm remembering some of the things that you've espoused in the past, most people would say that God is not of this universe, that he is outside time and space and outside of this realm. So that would, in fact, make him supernatural, according to the definition of the term. So you
But
say
somebody
that
coming up to you and having that conversation will not define God. They will assume that you think the same thing that they do until to the point that you say, define God for me. And again, it boils down to definitions and getting right down to that. But if you walk into someone in the street and they say God, you know colloquially what they're talking about. You don't need to spend 20 minutes having a conversation about defining this, defining that. If you have the conversation in the context of what you're having it in, I hate the fucking definition thing. Not that I don't know it and I'm not smart enough to fucking understand it, but I hate having to spend time defining things to people. I do not like repeating myself. I don't.
Sure, and it's not so much the definition is all the assumptions that come from a definition. I mean, if you look up God in Merriam-Webster, it means a supreme being. So then what are all the assumptions that come with your viewpoint of a supreme being and what that entails? So like if Christians come and say God is supernatural and beyond the universe, then my argument always goes to, okay, well, tell me about in Genesis that God created us in his image and likeness.
When it comes to,
are we also beyond the universe too then?
I'm going to just quote a phrase here that I've just thought of when you were talking there, and I do apologize for interrupting, but do you know what pigeonholes are good for? Shooting fucking pigeons. All right? Makes pigeons easy to shoot. You put me in a pigeonhole, you can shoot me down, you will find something in that. I might be 99.9% in agreement with that pigeonhole, but I guarantee you I'm not the same as the guy beside me. You put me in a pigeonhole,
Sure.
I don't like pigeonholes, and that's why I don't like definitions, because when you sit down and you spend 10-15 minutes breaking down a definition of what this is, you could be talking to someone who doesn't use that in their mainstream talking as their definition. They'll then slip up. Like people slip up when they're referring to someone who has recently transitioned. They go from he to she. You make the mistake and you say he when they're now a she, and you just slip up. Then the other person spends 20 minutes calling you out on it and fucking about and whinging and crying, and it's, oh, I'm getting worked up. I'm actually breaking out in a sweat here because we're talking about definitions. If you get to know the person, you get to know where they're coming from, and even if you don't, man, give them the benefit of the doubt. If you've just met them, some people don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, and you'll know that again from context. We've all been in this community long enough to have talked to the same people over and over again, to have watched the same videos, and the people in the context in the video. We all know where the fuck we're coming from when we spend too long fighting over words than we do over the actual conversation. Sorry, I'm just ranting.
No, I understand your position completely. Is you can get so bogged down in terminology that you never have the conversation you're hoping to have with somebody.
Tug puts it a very good way. What do you mean by that word rather than what are you defined by that word? It's a slight difference, but I can see where you're coming from, Tug. I don't know. I've killed John. Maybe John's in the background going, I disagree with everything Robbie said.
I think a lot of discussions and a lot of debates on YouTube would be better served if the parties involved got together before the actual discussion and debate and defined terms. Hey, what do you mean? What do you mean by this? And this is what I'm going to mean when I use this term.
So you're just saying do it, but do it off screen. You're just saying do it, but do it off screen. It's still, yeah. I'll still be annoyed having to fucking do it, whether other people see me do it or not.
Well, you have to do it, or you're not going to have understanding amongst people with disparaging viewpoints.
But the only problem is people want to, John, people want to win, and they don't want to offer that charity, and they don't want to understand where somebody else is coming from. They want to make them look bad or stupid or ignorant.
And just off that topic, man. If you use a definition of X and Messenger uses a definition of X, who's right and who's wrong? Where do you come to the middle ground of the definition? You're just gonna and he'll say if you get if your definition is the one that they use, right, and he says something, you can call him out.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on. You're thinking of it in the wrong way, though. It's not that you tell each other what you mean when you use a certain term, because you're going to come to terms and agree on a definition for that term. It's so that you understand the other person. Hey, when I say God, I mean this. When I say faith, I mean this.
And the other person,
and you might not agree with them, but at least you'll know what they're saying when they use those.
Yes, I would agree with that, but I would rather do that mid-discussion. When I say something that, say, for Toxic Messenger doesn't get straight off the bat, he would go, MathPig, what do you mean by that? I would then explain it to him there and then, and the continuation of the conversation. I would rather do it that way than sit down at the start, because who can think of all the phrases and talks and points and topics and words that they're going to use in the next 45 minutes? I'd rather do it at the time when it happens. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, ask me. If you don't understand what I mean, ask me. There and then at the time, rather than sitting down and defining.
Going back to what you said earlier, though, about all this repetitive stuff. Okay, you're not going to ever be able to define everything. There's still going to be things that come up in the course of conversation. But I think that in these discussions that we have in this community, there is a certain core group of terms that are misunderstood amongst the sides of an argument, and that could be clarified, prior to, because like you said yourself, MathPig, you've seen so many discussions, so many debates where the whole debate is bogged down in definitional arguments. You're right. You're never going to be able to define everything. You're never going to be able to come to terms on everything, but there's a certain core, amount of terms that could be, an understanding could be come to before the discussion or before the debate, instead of having the debate be all about that.
Yeah, and I can get that, and you can say it off screen, but I guarantee you that if you do that and you talk for 3 hours, there will be one thing that you've put down in your definition that you meant, that has been brought up in the context of the conversation, that you'll have to re-explain again. I guarantee that. So even though you've spent 5 minutes a word before the definitions, before the discussion, and you've then come on, I guarantee if you talk for long enough, that you will say or mean something off the cuff that the person will, either because number one, it wasn't brought up, or number two, because you've only spent 5 minutes a word and you went through 20 words about 2 hours ago and now you forgot, and he'll have to explain it again. So why fucking bother? Just do it at the time in the conversation. I think it's more friendly. I think it's better camaraderie. It's like, it's sitting down at the start of a war and discussing the rules of combat before you go into war.
Well, people do that.
Yeah, I know, and that's war. I don't want to fight. That's the trying to say, man. I don't want to set up that mindset of we are having the war, the rules of combat before we go in. I'd rather just.
Unfortunately, like Messenger said, oftentimes it is a combat situation.
Yeah, it comes across like that, and I don't fucking want that, man. As I've said once, and I'll say it again. Pool table down the back.
How many debates have you seen on modern day debate where it was just like a reasonable discussion? There's been some, but usually they're pretty adversarial.
I think, Tony, did you resubscribe or are you still unsubscribed? Tony Designs has just left. I would still give them James some love. I'll still pop in every now and again, but no, he's scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, it is. I agree with you, man. Not that you said that. I'll say that and be called out for it, but yeah, I get where you're coming from.
I mean, I've always said too, like when it comes to a debate, it's never about the interlocutors changing each other's minds. You're always doing the debate or doing the discussion. It's for the audience.
Exactly.
And it's for, possibly, changing the minds of people in the audience, or maybe not even about changing anybody.
No, I agree with you, man. Before you come on, I said that with Jim Majors. I said that before you were come on. We were using two different terms between debate and heated discussion. I prefer heated discussion because, as you say, when you go into a debate, you have your stance, the other person has the stance, and you're trying to convince the audience. When I have a heated discussion, I'm having the conversation with the person. There's no real defined times, but in what I'm saying and in that moment, there's a possibility that that person could leave thinking about something. I'm not here to convert you. I'm here to make you think.
Yeah, I think you and I share a very similar philosophy on that.
Me and you.
I just want people. I want people to consider.
Wait a minute. Did you just use the word philosophy?
Well, I'm not opposed to philosophy. I was just making the point that the phrase you used is a defined thing by a specific philosopher that everybody repeats and parrots now. And I didn't mean it in a derogatory way like MathPig thought I was taking a dig. I have used digs when I say you're just parroting shit you really don't understand.
Don't deny it. Don't deny it.
I don't believe that John doesn't understand it. I just said it's a common thing that people are just assuming this definition by a specific. It's not a dictionary definition. It's not a Merriam-Webster definition. It's a philosophical definition of those two terms. That was my only point. So again, I wasn't trying to be derogatory. I was trying to be concise about why I define those two terms.
Yeah, I didn't think you were being an asshole. I just think because that you said history, it was a little diggish. You would, because of.
I don't think John and I have a lot of bad blood.
I find when people are having a discussion, and even when they're trying to be nice, you'll throw in a passive-aggressive remark. I did it today when I was on the phone. There's a guy I work with who is very little time in the business, maybe 3 months, and he's only 18, and he thinks he knows fucking everything. He's coming back to work tomorrow, and he rang in today just to let everybody know that he was coming back in, and I happened to answer the phone. And he was like, oh, he's busy today. I was like, no, man, we've been quiet all week because you haven't been here. And he laughed and thought I was being nice. I'm like, no, I'm making a dig at him, you know. We all do it. I wasn't being nasty or evil, and he took it as a joke. But yeah, it's a little passive aggressive. I know that.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm usually aggressive.
All right, let me try this. I heard everything you said. Okay, but is it true that knowledge is a subset of belief? Is that a true statement?
Yes, it would be a true statement.
Okay. Now, if you know something, do you also believe it?
John.
Yes, that would be a true statement.
John Petersen, can I just point out, you are proving my point by bringing this back up again for, I think, the third or fourth time. I would agree with you. No, please, let me say this.
Wait a minute. Messenger just said something about it like less than 2 minutes ago. How am I bringing it back up again?
Because we used it in the conversation and kept going. You have actually stopped the conversation.
You made a joke about me saying philosophy.
Yeah, you made a joke and we moved on.
Right.
You have actually now stopped the conversation.
And after I made that joke, he went on to say why he thought that it was, for lack of a better term, invalid to invoke that truth that knowledge is a subset of belief. And I'm just trying to show Messenger that he believes that as well. I mean, that he knows that to be true as well. He just said it was.
The problem is with it is this, John.
It's the delivery, John. It's the delivery. It's all about the delivery.
What's that, Messenger?
Using those terms in that way is too ambiguous, and it leaves most people not having a clear and concise idea about what a belief is different from knowledge. The way that I define it makes it very concise, makes it better for conversation for people to say, I know or I believe, not both interchangeably.
Okay, but anytime I've brought it up, have I just said knowledge is a subset of belief and that's the end of it? Don't I always go on to clarify as well? I mean, it's like you're
Oh, no, I can't say that I have heard you clarify a position like we did tonight.
You can't say that you've ever heard me do that?
No, not in terms of when we've been, not when things, and it hasn't been you in the past. Most of the time it was, you know who, and I don't want to bring that up because that's a big freaking long conversation that doesn't need to be had right now. But I'm just saying,
go for it. We're rabbit holing. Why not? Go on.
People get on these philosophical definitions and these philosophical ways of, coming up with these systemic worldviews. And I think they're just asinine because philosophy doesn't explain things. It just is it's a method of pondering and reasoning.
But that's where you're wrong. It does explain. It does explain things.
It really doesn't.
Hold on. Well, let me explain. Okay. because the fact of the matter is, it's not just a philosophical statement. It explains a set of circumstances that are factual. Okay,
No.
It does though. You can't have knowledge without also having a belief. And many times you have a belief, which we both agreed a while ago. It's an aspect of reality that you hold to be true. Okay, or I forget the term you used. It's a. Did you say personal truth or?
I said specifically this. I said both belief and knowledge is something that you hold to be true. One is you have evidence for that held belief, and the other one, it's an assumed because you don't have all the evidence. So one's an assumed truth, one's a provable truth. And therefore, because I define them so distinctly, it's better than just saying, I can believe what I know. How about you just either believe or you know? Wouldn't that be better?
You can't make that choice.
But I'm agreeing with you from a philosophical standpoint. Sure, knowledge can be a subset of belief, but I think it's a shitty, ambiguous definition of it. I'd rather it be concise so that when you tell me, John, I believe this, I know for sure, okay, he's not saying he has proof, and therefore I'm not going to say, okay, prove it to me, John. I'm going to be like, okay, he holds it to be true, and then I'll say, hey, John Petersen, why do you hold that to be true? And now you can share your reasoning, then you can share your reasoning, and I can understand where you're coming from.
Right, but if I said I believed something, and it was just a belief on my part, I would never say, and I know it's true.
No. I didn't say you would. I didn't say you would. I'm just saying no. No, I'm saying that I said you would say one thing or the other. I said if you told me you believe something, I would know for sure that you're not telling me that you can prove it. I'm distincting that. That if you said I believe, I'm not going to ever even ask you for evidence. I'm just going to ask you for the reasoning that you hold it to be true. Well, I hold it to be true because I haven't found evidence to support that it's to the contrary. Because maybe I have a piece of evidence that could disprove your belief. Because if I did, then you can let go of your belief. If I can say, here's a concrete reason why your belief is false, then you can go, thank you for sharing that knowledge. I can now look for another belief. That's why I tell people all the time, if you believe something to be true, try to prove it false yourself first, and then you'll strengthen that belief, even if you can't ever prove it for it to become knowledge.
And just like MathPig earlier, you just described science.
I'm all about science. I don't think I've ever not been. Psychology is science.
I can't disagree with anything you just said, but it doesn't negate the structure of it, the nuts and bolts of it.
I'm not negating the philosophical reasons why why that person coined it in that way. Because at the time, psychology wasn't in place. We weren't explaining things on a biological and cognitive, experiential, and emotional level back then. That's my only point, is there's just better ways to define things now. There's better ways to articulate things so we can communicate better with one another. And I think that there's some people who get so hell-bent on, man, I just know philosophy so well and it's better help me understand myself. Maybe it has, but there's better explanations that could still be offered. You can't just say, hey, foundation.
Philosophy is very similar and could also be looked upon like fucking science, all right? You go back 1,000 years, you had less philosophers that are taken as, dogmatic rule now. There's been things that people have said in the past, massive philosophers that we all now accept. That is true, that is the way it is, and as Messenger says, they're in the books and that's the way it has to be. But who's to say that we can't have another philosophical revolution? Who's to say there's not a guy out there that could think of something? Now, I'm not fucking putting and saying that it's Messenger, okay? Just to clarify, Messenger is not the new coming of Jesus. He's not a prophet. He's not the man that's going to save everybody. But there is people who's to say we can't have a different opinion than what's written down in the books and still be correct from where we're coming from. And still, for some people out there, philosophy...
In MathPig, Sammy's backstage.
Like, there was less people in the world years ago, thousands of years ago, and there's more people now, there's more technology now, there's more different ways of thinking, there's more people going in different routes. Be open-minded, and I'll be desperately honest, right? As I said earlier, Messenger, my mother is the only one of these videos that you've watched, right? And me and her had a discussion about it, and she said to me, she's gonna fucking kill me if she watches this one. What she said to me is that she agreed and has done a lot of, and she referred to it and she used the word coping mechanisms. And as I said to her, it does break down PTSD and stuff like that. They can have medical sides to it. You can't always do it with your mind. And she recently had a doctor's appointment. It was only 2 or 3 days ago. And she went to the doctor, and only because I had said that to her due to the conversation, she mentioned she's been having trouble with her memory and things like that there. And they did a test on her, and what do you call that hormone that you get and you use up when you're taking heroin? You don't get no more.
That one I don't know.
Endorphins, is it?
Endorphins is just a way to describe.
No, not endorphins.
A lot of different
dopamine.
things.
Is it dopamine?
Dopamine is something that you can overinflate with heroin, but I don't know if it actually eliminates it.
I think dopamine is something that you're limited to, and you only have a certain amount, and then it's gone.
I would be surprised.
Her levels.
You can stop making it. Yeah.
Yeah, your brain stops making it. That's what's happened to her. It is dopamine. Dopamine.
Yeah.
Oh, dopamine. Thanks, nerdy. And
Yeah.
only because
Dad,
of the conversation, and I had
you can use
mentioned
it
that to her.
No, Eric,
But this is the point I'm trying to make. Only because of the conversation, and I says, Mum, you can't keep doing that. Like, I've said to her before, yes, dopamine. Thank you very much, Tony. You only make a certain amount, and it's gone. Now, my mum is not a drinker. You know, she'll have maybe 2 bottles of West Coast Cooler on fucking Christmas. She's never smoked in her life. There's nothing like that. You know, she's obviously never done fucking heroin. But that's now all gone. And she's on tablets that wasn't working. And only because of the message, or only because of the conversation me and Messenger had, and I pointed out that there could be a medical reason behind it, she brought that up in a message or in a conversation with the doctor, and they're now trying her on different tablets. And I hope it works, because my girlfriend actually shouted at me on Sunday because of the way I spoke to my mother. And I'm blunt. As everybody knows here, I'm blunt. And within 15 minutes, I had to repeat myself to my mother. And then the second time I repeated to her, I snapped at her. Because I fucking hate repeating myself. And I had this conversation with her last week. And only because of what the conversation me and you had, Messenger, my mum's now getting medical help.
That's
Now,
awesome.
she is a big proponent of where you would come from with coping mechanisms, and she's a strong woman. You know, since I was 11, she's a single parent, did 2 jobs, did everything. Strong leadership woman, like, you know, looked after us. But it doesn't always boil down to your mind. It doesn't always boil down to that.
No, it doesn't. No. No, sometimes there's biological things that just aren't working the way that they're supposed to, and you need psychotropic medication to help correct them. No different than you need insulin to help correct something with diabetes. You can't dismiss biological healing.
Well, I know I'm just referring back to the conversation me and you had when we were on, because you were talking a lot more about, and this is from my mum's point of view, you know, as I say, coping mechanisms, and I did say it to you at the time. Give me 1 second. I have to shout at my dog and tell him to get up and lay down, because he's making this noise at me. And the back door's lying wide open. He can go out and pee if he fucking wants, and he's still giving me the stink eye. Get up and lay down.
If I can make a pretty broad, sweeping sort of a statement, what I've found is that a lot of Christians that I hear tend to how can I say this without being too sweeping? Nah, let me think on that. I don't want
No, just say it, man. Just fucking be blunt. Just fucking be blunt. That's the whole point here. Be blunt.
Yeah, hang on. Someone carry on for a second. I need to get my thoughts straight on that. Won't be a sec.
We'll
Bring up that.
dump it all in
Bring
John
up
Petersen.
for us.
Okay, we're dumping on you, John Petersen. Come on, give us some content.
You're gonna Cleveland Steamer me?
What is it? 3 guys, 1 horse? Yeah.
2 girls, 1
Hey.
cup.
That's what
Hey,
I was aiming. Yeah.
Going tonight. Just got home. My wife wants me to take her and the kids to American Furniture Warehouse, so we're gonna go look at some things for the kids' room. But if that wasn't the case, I could stay on all night chit-chatting.
I don't believe you. You're telling lies. You're just running away because you're afraid. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Messenger, thank you very much.
Do you believe you're going to go look at furniture tonight, or do you know you are?
I can only say believe because I could get in that house and shit changes.
Yeah, women have that effect, don't they?
As far as I know, I believe she's getting the kids ready, and when I walk in, I'm going to use the restroom, and we're going to pack up and go. That's what I believe.
Well, Messenger, John, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate you jumped in. You jumped in the car and driving the way home. You give us some of your free time. I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you letting me come on and share information and listen and hear other people's viewpoints because I enjoy that.
Always welcome, man. And your two friends that do be off screen, we should definitely do a hangout some night. And there's 3 of you, and I can get 2 of other friends. John, I'm sure, would be up for that. And we can do it because StreamYard is limited to 6. But yeah, get them 2 on. And
remember, I have Zoom and we can do 100.
Ah, yeah. Well, if you do the hangout, man, on Zoom and it's main screen, I can just copy that. I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a problem. No matter who hosts, I can host on my channel. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Well, we'll do a Zoom hangout some night in the near future. I'd really like that, and try and get, not a fucking dumpster fire 10 on 10, but at least, yeah.
Royal Rumble.
Oh, I just thought of the South Park episode where everybody just gave up and was gay in a big hump outside. Do you remember the future episode, series 3, I think it was? No. Moving on.
Not see a lot of...
Messenger,
anyways,
thank you very much.
I gotta go. You guys take care. Thanks again for your time.
What's your other channel called as well, Messenger, before you go? Just let everybody know.
It's Unplugged from Worldly Thinking.
Yep.
Unplugged from Worldly Thinking. Yeah, it's a secular channel for self-help and helping people become better versions of themselves.
There you go. Everybody have a look.
Appreciate the plug.
Hey,
all right, see you, John.
See you later, John.
All right, take care, John. See you later, Sammy.
Yeah, I think we'll probably close up now in the next 10-15 minutes anyway, because it'll have been 2 hours, and 3 hours on a Tuesday is usually what I aim for. So has anybody in the chat got any questions for John or me or anybody? I had 200 subs. It was supposed to be an Ask Me Anything, and I haven't got asked. I got asked 2 questions. John, have you any questions you'd like to ask me? Anything at all?
Do you eat pork?
I love a good pork chop with applesauce. I also eat an awful lot of bacon.
I'm surprised by that. You eat your own kind.
Oh yeah, total cannibalism, man. Total cannibalism. When you're making a burger as well, I would sometimes keep the fat that comes off the bacon, chop that up, and if I've got mince, I will mix it up in with the steak mince, and you make a burger, and with the fat of the bacon and the lean mince, it just a bit of sriracha sauce and some salt and pepper, onion spice. Yeah. No, I eat a lot of pig.
Bacon grease pretty much lasts indefinitely.
I use lard in my deep fat fryer. I don't use oil. Lard is far better. John, question for you from Tony Designs. How many boards would the Mongols hoard if the Mongols horde got bored? Fuck, I did really well there.
6.
Mistress Angelica 1416, thank you very much for turning up. Appreciate you coming in. Not really worth a view. We've just been talking shite. There was a good 40 minutes there of interesting conversation, but we do try here. Sammy, are you still alive? Nope.
You're muted, Sammy.
He's crashed the car. He's on the mobile phone while driving. He probably fell out of the chat, and while he was jumping back into the chat, he crashed the car. Gary Weir wants to know views on veganism. Gary Weir, if you don't know John, is actually a guy I've known for coming up on 25 years now. He lives in Vietnam, and he's over there teaching kids and helping out over there and doing it. He's a proper SJW. Go on, Gary. Loves his wash and all that.
Well, so my views on veganism are you can't if you look at all the data, you can't help but come to the conclusion
It's right.
that if humankind ate less meat and ate more plant matter, it would be better for the world. There's just no
Yep.
doubt about it.
And you're
The
correct.
numbers
Yep.
the numbers show that. But as far as vegans who want to say that the consumption of animal products is immoral, I don't agree with that at all. Are there immoral practices in industrialized animal husbandry? Certainly there is. But that doesn't inherently make the consumption of animal products immoral. But yeah, it would definitely be better to eat less meat for the world and for individuals.
Yeah, I seen a statistic because back, right, not to sound old fashioned, back in the olden days in this country and in England and stuff, they used to keep the sheep up in the mountains and things like that. And now because people want more lamb, more so than mutton, they've brought them down from the mountains, they've industrialized them, and sheep use an awful lot of land. You know, to graze, that's why they used to keep them up in the mountains and let them go wild. And if you take all the land in the UK that's dedicated to what they use for sheep and for lamb, which when it turns to the diet, I think is 15 to 16% of the UK diet, people, you know, actually eating lamb. If you took just that land and converted it to growing vegetables, you would be able to feed everybody in the UK, and all the rest of the land for what we grow for everything else would be free. Just for the land that we use. It totally makes sense.
And the thing is too is there's data on both sides as far as like there's certain nutrients and certain types of protein you can only get from animal flesh. But now the people on the veganism side will say, well, no, you can supplement and combat that. But the fact of the matter is, as far as in the plant world goes, there are protein sources in the plant world that will offer more protein than eating meat, so you can be a vegan and still get plenty of protein, albeit that there might be a few nutrients that you might be lacking in.
I'm all up for eating insects as well, man. I watched a documentary one time where there's this a group of people in Africa or wherever. It was a tribe living in the middle of nowhere, and they have an island in the middle of the lake beside where they live. And at a certain time of the year, is he laughing or fapping? At a certain time of the year, there's a fly, like we would have the house fly, and they mate in this island, in the round and in this marshy area around the island. And whenever they all break out of their eggs, it's all at one time, and it's like a mass fucking big cloud. And they go down, and they have like a net, and they just swish the net around in the air, grab a handful, squeeze it all together, and make like a fly pate. And
dude, I saw that years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got like a basket that they make, and they just swing it over their head and catch all these insects in the cloud.
Oh, Jesus, man, how old are we?
The eggs hatch like out on the ocean, and then the big cloud of insects rise up. They showed like birds flying in and grabbing insects, and then the women were swinging them baskets over their head, and they made kind of like hamburger patties out of them.
You can the protein you can get for insects relative to the ground that it takes, totally up for eating insects. I'm also totally if anyone can go out and try the Impossible Burger in your Burger King locally, go and do it. Tell me what it's like. I've only seen good reports. They've now been, some other fucking fast food company has taken them over. Burger King's trialing something else. It's doing really well. I would totally eat fake meat if it tasted and like fake meat, and obviously give you the same, or at least 90% of what you were getting. But I'd be up for fake meat. I'd be up for eating more vegetables. I usually have 3 vegetables per dinner. I like my veg, but I do like my meat. I'm trying to cut down on the beef and the red meat to lose a bit of weight, because when you get to mid-30s, you can't be eating as bad as that, and eating more chicken, boiling more hams, eating more bacon.
I'd say the majority of the meat that I eat is different types of unbreaded fish and boneless, skinless chicken breast, and then a little bit of meat and pork, or red meat and pork.
What?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do, with the individual too. There are people out there that are totally vegan, and from all appearances, through testing and outward appearances as well, they're perfectly healthy. But then there's other people that have tried veganism, and it has been detrimental to their health.
You see, whenever you say veganism, the first thing I think of is not what you eat. The first thing I think of is I can't own my leather jacket anymore. I can't have my really good leather shoes. Leather, Dakota biker somewhere one time, leather lasts forever. I would happily be a vegetarian, but I would never, ever be a vegan. I have 3 leather coats up the stairs hidden in my cupboard that I've worn since I was 16 and 17. I used to be a goth. You want me to throw them out and not wear them again? Fuck off. Halloween time's great. I could never be a vegan. I would be a vegetarian, but I could never be a vegan.
Yeah, I mean that is a part aspect of veganism. It's no animal byproducts.
Yeah.
Not just eating, but
even when fake meat comes out, still make real meat, but at a smaller percentage, and raise the fucking price. Give the farmers the justification for growing, having a small amount, or even encourage people, if you want real meat and you like your own real chicken, get a fucking pen in your backyard and let's go 70s style again. Grow your own food. Have a bendy fucking cart. Why do all carts need to be straight? Supermarkets have destroyed the food. That's another rant, but more people should grow their own food. My mum grows her own vegetables. She's trying to get chickens in. She was trying to get a fucking pig in, but we don't own enough land, and you have to own a certain amount of land. Even though we own a third of an acre, it's not big enough to own a fucking... so many rules and regulations now around
matter
people.
Matter of fact, I just today had the last, for lunch, I had the last 3 potatoes out of my garden from this year.
Yeah. My woman's father grows strawberries, and I don't like fresh strawberries. I do like them in the tin, covered in sugar. And they're lovely and soft, but the ones that he grows are fucking so soft and they're so juicy. And you go and buy them in the shop, and I find strawberries are always hard in the shop. Maybe because they're irradiated, or I don't know. We're going off on a rant. It's been nearly 2 hours. John, do a wee shield for everything you do. We'll round it up. Nobody seems to be coming up with questions. Gary Weir seems to be eating pineapples every day. What does it say? I eat pineapples every day. Is that bad? Cheap where I come from. I think it makes your semen taste nice. Yeah. So that's a good thing. Is that a myth? Anyone ever?
I eat pineapple every day. I usually have it on ham, though.
I would have a pineapple on gammon. A nice gammon steak with some pineapple is lovely. Slightly fried pineapple ring.
Well, so yeah, tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern, I'll be on a Raging Atheist. Not sure what we'll be talking about. I know it'll be me, Raging, and Dragnaut's going to be there. We'll see if Aaron White shows up. Still haven't heard back from him. I'm going to try and search somebody else out to come on as well, and reach out to Jim and see if he wants to come on. And as far as anything else goes, my channel is the Amateur Conversationalist. Haven't really done anything in a few weeks on there, but before the month is out, or perhaps Sunday, December 1st will be at the very latest, will be the first the Apostate Alliance podcast, and we'll be talking to ex-Muslims.
I have started following Faye. Is it Faye? Yes.
Yeah, Faye the Most Gracious.
Faye the Most Gracious. I have missed a couple of her live streams, but if the timing works out, prepare to see me in the stream.
Well, she's going to come on a co-host Apostate Alliance with me at least once a month.
Oh, well,
so, Sammy, are you building a house?
Sort of. I'm in the process of starting a new business.
Is that what you're doing right now? Because it sounds like you're hitting yourself with a piece of wood. You need to get your computer set up and your
You
mic
can
set
hear
up.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mike's
funny
work-
story. When I bailed a bit earlier, I actually lost a filing cabinet on a freeway around a major roundabout.
See, I knew something like that happened. You shouldn't have been paying attention to your phone. I fucking said that. I was like, the man hit back into the conversation and had an accident. Guarantee you that's what happened.
And now you got the ball peen hammer, and you're trying to pound it back into shape.
No, that's actually just it's a flapping cord hitting the roof of my car. Very annoying.
Right. Well, on
Oh,
that
okay.
note, Sammy, do your... John got a minute. You're getting fucking 10 seconds with that audio. Give a wee shill for your channel.
Doesn't exist, basically. One video made by MathPig. In the process of getting a new computer, so shan't be too long, hopefully. Watchtower watches.
Well, there you go. That's it. Everybody, thank you very much for turning up. It has been, it's been good crack tonight. Usually is good fun. And we'll see you all on Thursday. There will be no scheduling of a fucking video because I can't fucking get that shit to work. So just expect 11 o'clock on Thursday. We will be having the history of the interstellar objects. And next Tuesday, hold on, I'm going to get his exact full title here. We have Carlton Winston is coming on next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. So we'll either be an hour of me playing The Evil Within while we wait on Carlton, or we will be going at 11. So 10 or 11 next Tuesday. Expect that. Thursday we've got Richard. And yeah.
And when you say 10 or 11, you mean your time, right?
Yeah, 10 UK, which would be 5 Eastern Standard, which would be 6 Central, 6 Central, 7 Mountain, and 2 p.m. I think in Arizona. It's fucking bloody round earth.
5.
Work off 5.
No, you're doing it the wrong way. If it's 5 Eastern, it's 4 Central, 3 Mountain Time, 2 Pacific.
There you go. Yeah, thanks very much. I generally try and just set it for Eastern Standard. If I say 10 UK, it's 5 Eastern Standard. It's a nice 5 hours. It's a nice round number. And everybody can work from Eastern Standard. Richard has problems sometimes. He was an hour late for one of my streams. But, yeah. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard next Tuesday. I might start gaming for an hour, or else Carlton will come on after 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Very good man. Puts a lot of effort into his production. He's working on another video. You should go and watch it. His deconversion story, and the video was top production. Top production.
What would the topic be for that?
Talking shit like always, man. What the fuck else do I do on my channel?
True.
Exactly.
Talking pig shit.
Yeah, you're all in the pigsty. Roll around and get dirty, boys.
Getting on the crack.
When you sound it, it sounds druggy. You're not emphasizing the A and the I. You're saying it like it's spelled C-R-A. No, you're spelling it. It's not crack C-R-A-C-K. It's crack C-R-A-I-C.
But it sounds exactly the same when you say it.
Crack and crack.
Yeah.
Aye. But when you say it, oh no, we're just going to get into that whole fucking thing. Right. Well, we've got 2 minutes left. Come on, we'll hit 2 hours. What? We've literally fucking 1 minute and 50 seconds left. Come on, give us a question from the fucking crowd. What have we got from Tony? For fuck's sake, you bunch of numbnuts. Time and date .world clock. He can say that, but he only actually found that like a week and a half ago, or maybe a little bit less. Because we were talking in Discord, and he thought, wouldn't it be great if you could go somewhere and find out the world clock? Hold on, I look that up. So, Tony, you can sound big and fucking fancy, but I know you've only found it. I replaced Tony. Do you know why Tony's a shillbot? I replaced Tony with a shillbot. I'm going to make a video for Discord for anybody who wants to go and look up Discord or make their own or whatever. But, yeah, Tony you can replace with like 4 commands, 5 commands. It's grand. We all love you, Tony. We appreciate what you do. I just like putting the fucking... Come on, 60 seconds.
Oh, it doesn't have to be exactly 2 hours.
No, and it's probably not going to end up because we're running out of things. We've got Matt Bond in that's jumped in. It's good to see you, Matt. He knew it existed. He just found the link. Yeah, of course you did. Totally appreciate it. Right, everybody, thanks very much for turning up. Appreciate you all coming in. And as always, I'll use it with my stupid little bye-bye.